Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I have an exciting video planned for y'all. I plan on showing y'all some books that I plan on reading in the year 2026. Now my TBR is extremely long, so I really plan on tackling that TBR and focusing on books that I already own. In fact, in the coming year, I plan on doing a New Year's resolution that I will be on a book buying ban and I will not get any more books until my birthday, which is in May. And then after that, who knows what'll happen, but I really want to get my TBR under control before I buy more books. So let's get started and I'll show y'all some of the books that I plan on reading. First is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. Now this book is in the Shadowhunters Chronicles, if you know, you know, and it is set 5 years after The City of Heavenly Fire, which is the last book in the Mortal Instruments series. This book follows parabatized Julian Blackthorne and Emma Carstairs, who are battling demons and battling forbidden love all at the same time. Now this is probably my most anticipated read of the year. I think once I finish the books I'm already reading, I will tackle this one. And I'm not sure yet if I want to audiobook it or if I want to read the physical copy, which I already own. It all depends on when I finish the current audiobook that I'm reading, which is The Night and the Moth, which I'm loving, but it's taking me a while to get through it just because I'm distracted by other books. But I'm excited to get to this one. Next, in the same realm as Lady Midnight, we have Chain of Gold, which is also set in the Shadowhunters world, but this is set, I think, in the early 1900s. And this takes place directly after the events in the Infernal Devices, and I think it deals with the descendants of our favorite characters like Will and Tessa, so that's super exciting because the Infernal Devices is probably my favorite series that I've ever read, so I'm excited to see more of the characters that I love in this series. Next is a book that I've put off reading for a long time for many reasons, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now this book, I at first wasn't really interested in the plot, and so whenever it was first coming out and first really popular, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to read it. And then one day I just saw it in the bookstore and I was like, you know what, I'm still not really interested in reading it, but I think I'll buy it. I don't know why. But then I saw the special edition and I bought that, and then I started seeing some videos about it and rereading stuff about the plot and getting more interested in dragons, and I was like, you know what? I think I am interested in it and I'm really excited to read it. So I think maybe after I read Lady Midnight, I might read this, depending on if I want to read Chain of Gold, depends on if I'm in the Shadowhunter mood, so we'll see how fast I get to reading this book. And if you don't know, this book is about a young woman named Violet who enters into a war college where she is training to be a dragon rider. And there is a romance between her and this guy named Zayden. And that actually sounds really good, and I'm really excited to read it. So the next book is a book that I recently won in a giveaway, and it is The Mountains of Ebon by Bethany White Krantz. And this is a sapphic fantasy romance about the wars and blights of two magical kingdoms. And I'm not exactly sure what the whole plot is. I kind of want to go in not exactly knowing what's going to happen so that I can be surprised, but I have actually already started it. But even though I'm currently reading it, I included it on my 2026 reads because I'm going to mainly read it in 2026, and I'm loving it so far. Next is a book that I have had for a very long time and have still not read, and I decided 2026 is going to be the year. And that book is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And I hope some of y'all are excited to see that I'm going to read this. I know that it has a really big fandom that loves it so much. And basically this book is about a group of unlikely individuals who join together to commit a heist. And I have always been interested in it. I just have always been putting other books in front of it, but lately I've been really wanting to read it, so I am excited to get to this one. Next is also a book that I've had for a very long time and haven't read, and that is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So this book is kind of a mystery about wealthy families, private islands, and amnesia, and I kind of want to go in pretty blind on this one too because I want to be completely surprised. I'm assuming there's like a twist and a compelling mystery, and I haven't read a book like this in a long time, so I'm excited to get to it. And I know it recently became a Amazon Prime series, and I really want to watch it, but I said, no, I have to read the book first. So I am planning on getting to this really soon. Next is Julia Vanishes by Katherine Egan. So this book is about a girl who has the ability to magically remain unseen, not necessarily turn invisible, but she can go unseen by other people. And she makes her money and her living by being a thief and a spy and working for people. So I have actually sort of read this book. I read maybe half of it, and then I'm about to admit something. I used to be guilty of skim reading a lot. So I would start reading a book and then I'd get kind of like impatient and then I'd skim read. So I did skim read the end of this, so I kind of know how it ends. But I want to go back, since I'm now fully committed to always reading the full book and not skimming. I want to go back and reread this book fully. Next is Deepened by Ali Hazelwood. Now, this book is about a romance between a competitive diver and swimmer. And I'm super excited to read a sports romance like this because I normally read football and hockey romances. I've never read a romance between swimmers and divers before. And I don't think Ali Hazelwood has done a book like this. She's very diverse in her writing. She just dips her toes into many different fields. She writes STEM romance, she writes chess romances, she writes paranormal romance, and now she's writing sports romance, so that's super exciting. And I love specifically Bride and Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Those are in my top 10 books of all time that I've read. I remember I read those in one sitting, so I know I like her writing, so I'm super excited to get to this one. And eventually I'll get to The Love Hypothesis, but that's not on this list, so. Next is also a book that I've already started, and I did plan on reading it this year and finishing it, but it's not looking like it's in the cards to be finished this year, so I'm putting it on the 2026 list, and that is Light Lark by Alex Astor. I know y'all might get me for not having already read this, especially since I'm basically a super fan of it now, and I've only read like half of it, but I love it. I bought all the books that are out, and I am loving it, but I'm in the middle of a lot of books and I get distracted by other books and then I don't finish it, and so I plan on finishing this so that I can continue with the rest of the series because I hear it gets crazy, especially with the love triangle. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. It's very hard, but hopefully I don't get too spoiled before the end of the series. I have already been kind of spoiled, but I digress. The next book is a book that I kind of bought on a whim, and that is The Wolf King by Lauren Palfreyman. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly and not butchering it. Palfreyman. And this is a werewolf romance. Enough said. I don't need to know anything else about it. I do know the plot, and that's why I bought it, but I love werewolf romances. I'm notorious for reading a ton of werewolf romances on Wattpad, and like I said, I love Bride by Ali Hazelwood, so I really want to read this in the coming year. Okay, sorry if there's an angle change. I had to do some stuff real quick, but now I'm going to list out some of the books I want to read that I don't own already. So the first book is Snowed In at the Cabin by K.P. Nupp. This book comes out at the end of January and is about an FMC who gets stranded at a cabin with its owner during a snowstorm. I think it'll be perfect for the wintry vibes. I'm hoping it snows in Texas. Probably won't, but I'm hoping it does for the sake of me reading this book and getting the aesthetic. The next book I'm excited to read is Claimed by Darkness by S.R. Hartley. This book comes out in April and it's a dark, spicy fantasy romance. Now, I first learned of S.R. Hartley this year because she had a book come out recently at the beginning of December called 13 Wishes, which is a witchy Christmas romance. And I was lucky enough to be an ARC reader for her, so I love her writing and I'm super excited to read her next book. The next book is also a Cassandra Clare book, and that is the first book in the Wicked Power series, The Last King of Fairy. Now, as I said earlier in the video, I plan on reading Lady Midnight, which is the first book in the Dark Artifices series, and it is vital that you read the Dark Artifices before you read Wicked Powers, because I think it kind of continues with some of the characters that were in the Dark Artifices. So I will have to read that first before I read Wicked Powers. But I love Cassandra Clare's books, so I'm hoping I can just breeze right through them. And as I said, I'm not sure who the characters are, I'm not sure what's going to be happening, I just know I'll want to read it. The next book I want to read is Ruby Red by Kirsten Gier. Now, this book came out a while ago. This book is about a girl from a family of time travelers who didn't expect to inherit her family's time traveling gene, but fate had other plans, and it's also a romance. And I've never read a book about time travelers before, so I'm super excited. Wait, let me get this next book. Let me read it so that I can make sure I'm reading it correctly. Violet Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Krempholtz. This book is about a powerful ex-villain plant witch and a grumpy alchemist who have to work together to save their town from a magical plague. I just recently discovered this book and I really want to read it. The next book I recently discovered on TikTok, and it is called A Realm of Blood and Mercy. The plot of this book basically is when the FMC is accidentally transported to another world, she lands in a crime scene and is ultimately accused of the murder by this ex-war hero who came to investigate it. And I'm fully anticipating kind of enemies to lovers here. The next book also came out a long time ago, and that is Control. This book is set in the year 2150, and I don't think I've ever read a book that was set that far in the future. The FMC Zell ends up in a safe house for teens that the law says shouldn't exist. The next book is Time to Rise by Helen Holmstrom. The FMC in this book invites a TV crew into her parents' beloved bakery to try to keep the doors from closing. When the celebrity pastry chef that she invited in starts to lose his popularity with the public, his producers have the idea that he should start fake dating the FMC to try to boost ratings. The next book is The Last Page by Katie Holt. This book comes out in May, and I recently read Not in My Book by Katie Holt and loved it. The FMC Ella has a deep connection to the bookstore that she works at, and when the owner dies unexpectedly, he leaves the entire bookstore to his estranged grandson. And the grandson, he doesn't know anything about running a bookstore, but he kind of starts to build an attraction to the funny bookseller that he's been forced to work with. And lastly, we have Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This is a book about a professional golf player and his biggest fan. And once again, I love sports romances, but I mainly read hockey romance and occasionally a football romance. So I'm excited to read a golf romance, which I've never read before. And I see this book everywhere and it has lots of fans, so I'm sure I'll really enjoy it. Well, that was the video. Thank y'all so much for coming and watching my video. I appreciate everyone who just wants to see all the bookish activities I'm getting up to. And hopefully I can get to all these books in the new year. I will admit, I'm a big mood reader, so I might not be in the mood for these books whenever the new year actually comes. It'll all depend on what I'm feeling in the moment. So my TBR could completely change, just being honest. But I hope to read these books, and there are some that are for sure things like Lady Midnight and Fourth Wing. So I'm super excited to get to them. And let me know what books y'all are planning on reading, and maybe I can add them to my TBR. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope y'all have a wonderful new year. Bye!